Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Belgian Football Podcast. For those of you who've been listening the past few weeks, you probably been wondering where I've been and who is this man that's suddenly appeared on our Belgian Football Podcast? But it's me, I'm Ben, and I am back to finally return and host one of these episodes. As always, Scott and Joris are here. Guys, I feel like it's been a very, very long time. I can't remember the last time I've been able to jump on, and I was saying to Joris, I don't even know if I remember how to do all this. So apologies in advance for all the mistakes I'm bound to be making because, it's been a long time. But guys, it's good to see you again. It's good to finally be talking Belgian football. My poor wife's had to listen to me natter on about everything that's been happening and Hoto celebrating in front of his old club and why that his current on loan club and why that's funny and important. She's just giving me this kind of like, I really don't care. Look, you guys are there, and that's the main thing. So I can finally dish it out and talk about it with other guys. But yeah, how have you been? Have you guys enjoyed the weekend of football that we've just seen?
Always. I was just about to say there, when your dulcet tones piped in, I wonder if we've got anyone new with us this week, because they're going to be in with a shock.
We might, but no. I do think it's a familiar face. So I do think. I'm gonna guess it's indeed Ben. I think it's true. I enjoyed the weekends generally.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, we'll find out if I've still got it, if he's still got an attack. I'm like a player that's returned for a long injury. You're just not sure, like, will they ever be the same? Like, this is a career-ending situation that they find themselves in.
We'll get to that. One quick note that is related to Belgian football then, because that made it to make it more inappropriate. So let's not laugh about this. But Elliot Matazzo just came back from more than a year of injury at Hull City, and 10 minutes after his comeback, his ACL broke. So that's just horrific.
That's horrendous.
Ben did not know that when he said this, so I'm just gonna put that disclaimer. Blessings to him, all the best, and hopefully he will actually come back at a decent level still.
We've seen it with so many players, haven't we? Like over the years. I remember one that many people remember is Anton Ferdinand. He'd get so crocked that he couldn't even do the warm-up because he might get injured in the warm-up before playing. So he just rolled him out and hope for the best. And it's a shame because I thought Anton Ferdinand was actually a really, really good player when he was actually fit. And yeah, I hope you never want to see kind of a player come back and then get injured straight away. And the psychological aspect of that is just, horrendous. So we definitely wish him all the best. Let's quickly go through the results from this weekend. Obviously on Thursday when you guys were recording, once I'd finally put my son to bed after hours of trying, Sint Truiden beat Anderlecht 2-0 that was a fun game. I really enjoyed that. That was just like spicy. It was really spicy. So we can talk about that in a little bit. Cercle Bruges, they continued their really good playoffs. They beat Dender by 2-1. I know it's a bit of a dead rubber at the moment in that, but signs of life and signs of kind of maybe they're trending in the right direction for when the season comes back fully next season with the new man in charge. Playoff 2, Charleroi beat Leuven by 2-0. Genk drew 1-1 with Standard Liège. Veslo could not take advantage of that because Vincent Jensen and Christopher Scott took them apart. That game finished 4-2. Into the big ones in the Champions playoffs on Sunday lunchtime kickoff. Ghent, they lost 2-0 to Club Bruges. Mechelen took the lead against Sint Truiden, and everyone was like, "Oh, are they alive? Are they back?" And then Sint Truiden just took them apart, just completely took them apart, 1-1. Some ridiculously good goals from them in that game. Anderlecht, they lost 3-1 at home to Union, and they looked like they were about to get back in it, and then Sardella just decided to headbutt Smith. Should probably not do that with VAR around. It was a bit stupid. He gets himself sent off. And then RAAL's holiday continues. They lost 4-0 to Zulte Waregem. And if they had actually finished bottom, I'd be pretty terrified about what they were going to do in the playoff because they have been useless. And I don't know, guys. I have this thing about if you finish a season really badly like this, how many times have we seen it where like it just keeps going? Like I know there's months in apart, but it's kind of like I'd be a bit concerned if I'm them. And I think if you're kind of looking for new players and stuff next season, you're kind of thinking, right, we've got to be quite active in this. We've got to look at what happened to Dender and stuff like that, because it's not been good.
Not that we need to dwell too much on this side of the league, maybe, but some Belgian football history as well. Like, it just came to me as well, but it was with La Louvière as well, or one before. When they were having a really good season with Peter Odemwingie, to name one name that's a flashback for some of the British listeners, maybe as well. Still, they were third or fourth, I believe, so around the winter break. But they also ran out of money, so they were not allowed to win any more games, basically. So yeah, maybe something similar is happening. They just like, okay, they're safe now, so they're indeed letting it slide. And the players, they are asked to not win any more games, kind of. Since it's dead rubbers anyway now, but. Hopefully that's not the case for multiple reasons, because not that long later it also became clear that they were part of the money laundering scandal at that time. Not the last one we had, but the previous one. Oh, money laundering, or like, no, the betting scandal, actually. That's a better one. That's a better naming for it, actually. Anyway. Regardless of that. But yeah, no goals scored since that 5-5 against Genk as well on the last day. That's quite remarkable. And I also feel like they're leaking more goals than they have in the whole regular season. I've just checked. That's not the case. Also, it's unlikely that it's going to happen, but they're giving it a good go. They're especially since it's completely impossible for them anymore to get in last position in last place. They really seem to have completely over the ball and don't really care anymore. I can't completely blame them if it's just that, to be honest. But okay, on the other hand, they also play other sides that face that same issues and that do want to win, it seems still. They do want to get paid more, I guess.
Of course, they lost they lost their two sporting directors as well. They lost David Vervilken, obviously, who's gone off to head up the scouting cell at Anderlecht. You know, I know small task in its own right, really. And Niklas Frutos obviously left to become Charleroi sporting director as well. So two really important members of their staff who've been a big part of their success over the last 18 months or so gone as well. So those questions about how they're going to handle the summer, the things that they should be working on just now are, so many question marks there. And even Frederick Takin over the last few days has been saying they just, they're not themselves. They're not the RAAL that they were, I think was the phrase I'd kind of came across. Don't know if that was the literal translation or not, but a few things that did make you think, oh, bloody hell. Cause for concern indeed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be fair, then you look at kind of the team they rolled out in the last game against Ulster Varagam, and it's like, that is, just kind of chucking a couple of other kids in there and players in there that maybe haven't had as many opportunities and just seeing what you've got, which is kind of what these playoffs are for when it's like that's kind of time of it. But it's also, I think what really concerns me there is like that's fine to do, but like it's not showing good signs if that is what you've got, because let's be frank, I can't imagine Marcus Piano is not going to get sold in the summer, because I just feel like the team's looking for a goalkeeper, not just in Belgium, but maybe the Netherlands or other countries, France, other countries around are probably going to look at him and be like, that's a good goalkeeper, we should go get him. Pat Musafal probably goes as well. And it's like, those are two really, really important players. I think they're obviously going to keep Lassini because he's signed a new deal and he's been pretty good. Fai as well, like he'll likely stay. I don't know what his contract situation is, but I can't imagine he's going to get like 2027. So yeah, he'll probably stay another season at least. But yeah, it feels weird to start the podcast talking about a team in like the dead rubber kind of relegation playoffs, but just something to keep an eye on. I think it's worth kind of highlighting these trends and stuff early on. They may have had a rubbish time of it and they probably don't care. One team that's had a great week and a great last 3 games, I think, is Sint Truiden. I know they obviously drew 0-0 with Ghent, but then beating Anderlecht. And I've always kind of had this weekend in mind of where like they face Mechelen, and then the other 2 teams that are kind of chasing them for that third spot were facing the 2 title chasers. I thought this was like their perfect weekend to kind of cement that position. And when they went 1-0 down, I was like, oh no, like what have they done? Like they're going to mess us up. They're going to somehow lose to Mechelen. But then they just took them apart. The goals were just so good. Ito was just like, he's just again. Mechelen had no answer for him. The goal was the first goal. I mean, Miras has probably been one of the goalkeepers of the season, but that was shocking. That was like pretty shocking stuff from him. So he'll obviously take a bit of blame for that. But yeah, I don't know about you. I'm really confident they're going to make Europe now. I just don't see them dropping off a cliff that much. They were even competitive against the top two. Like the difference they had was kind of efficiency and skill, like the quality of like depth of what they had. But yeah, so interesting to hear what your guys' thoughts on the Canaries and also what you thought about Goto's celebration against Anderlecht. I personally thought it was hilarious. I thought it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen because it was so unnecessarily over the top. Like it's like the thing, like players don't celebrate against like teams they've played for, even if they played for them for like a couple of games. They'll be like, I'm all respectful and stuff. I don't think I've ever seen a player score against a team that he was on loan from and give it large like that when he scored, and then give it even more at the final whistle and piss everyone off. And this leaves no doubt that man is not going back to Anderlecht no matter what. Like he will not play for the Mavs next season. He will not be wearing purple. Like, he's gone. And to be fair, he's gambled and he's really, his gamble has paid off. Like he's on the fringes of the national team. He might go to the World Cup. He probably will. He's firing a team into European football and he's looking good doing it. He's playing for a team that's creating chances and doing that sort of stuff. He's at a club that's got a really good feel about it, whereas Anderlecht doesn't. Would he have had as many opportunities? Would the team have played as well around him? Whereas he's just been given that role and been like, you are our starting striker, go out there and do it. And he's been doing it. His finish was great, I thought, against Anderlecht. I thought it was a really lovely finish. Couple of things that I think might be concerning if you're watching him is like he's really pretty, like he's not really got that explosive pace when he's through one-on-one. There's been a couple of times this last two games that I've seen him where the ball's gone over the top and he's been through on goal and he just gets caught quite easily and he doesn't really know what to do. But that's fine. You can kind of counter that. You don't need to play him in that sort of kind of over the ball, long ball over the top sort of role. But yeah, what a weekend it's been for these guys. And I feel like it's really easy to think about how this team is probably going to get picked apart in the summer and kind of what's going to happen to these players. But I think the atmosphere at the I'm not going to call it the wasabi, whatever it's called, at the start was really, really good. And one last thing, I feel like I've basically every week I've been wanting to bring it to this podcast because I haven't been able to make it on and not been able to say it. But in the summer, I think collectively as a group, we all agreed that we were baffled as to why they signed Abdoulaye Sissoko because we were like, this man's a perennial relegation guy. All of us said it. He's been so good. Like he has been ridiculously good compared to what we expected. Like every game I watch, he is like an unsung hero for this team. I've been so impressed with him at just like winning the ball back. He's so active. He's engaged. He's everything. And it's just like, if there was an award for like most improved player, he's already won it for me. Like he has been so good for them. And I remember he was linked to Leeds like last summer or something. I was like, that's ridiculous. I don't think he's Premier League level. Like, I still think that would be ridiculous. But like, if this is the potential for what they could see, then fair enough. But I didn't see it last season. I haven't seen it as Zultavag and what it's like. But yeah, I think Sissoko deserves his flowers because everyone's going to talk about the other guys. But yeah, I've been really impressed with him. But interested to see what you guys think. I think they're going to make Europe, and I think it's great that they're going to get the ticket for finishing third because it's just more secure in Europe and they'll actually should at least get to enjoy European adventure if they can do what Cercle did and just keep as many of the key players to get into the kind of European places and then go from there.
Yep, I think they're going to make Europe as well, and that was my first thought after the results at the weekend. I thought, well, that's pretty much done it. It's the same result that's kind of ended Mechelen's chances, I think, of maybe pushing for Europe. I think they're probably going to finish in last spot in the playoffs by the looks of it. I think, St Truiden is so interesting because this is a club that is very relaxed about losing its best players, and they're probably going to lose their manager in the summer as well. There's a chance they might not, but on balance of probability, I think there's going to be a lot of change there. So, enjoy the ride while it's there. It'll be really interesting to see how they manage the departures, I think, though. Ben was alluding to what happened with Cercle under Miro Muslic as well. A lot of their talent had left early, So he was having a kind of firefight with that European football to a certain extent. And in retrospect, when we look back at them now, they probably did a little bit better than probably everyone thought they were going to do, considering what he had to work with in the end, because all of the top players had gone by that point. They've been the revelation of the season. I think everyone would agree about that. Nobody quite saw coming what they've actually produced, and they've been consistent. I mean, I remember, I think it was after match day 2 of the playoffs, I think, they just lost, I think, to Club. They'd obviously had Union and Club in the opening couple of weeks, lost both of those, and we weren't sure what this meant for them, but we did know at that point that we had to see how they were going to fare against the other sides, because, I think most people perhaps expected them to lose those games, and they've actually recovered very well. Ben's actually right. They did play quite well in even those games that they lost as well, so they have remained competitive. And in a season when it looked like St Truiden and Mechelen were going to qualify for playoff 1, they did, and then we said, well, now's your shot at Europe. Now's that almost once in a generation go at this that these clubs kind of tend to get. And yeah, I think St Truiden are going to do it now. They're already talking about the relatively minor changes they need to make at Steyr so they can play their games at home, because there was a little bit of talk about possibly them playing at, I think, Dendreef, which nobody really wants to see them do. So they should be able to get things up to scratch. And it'd be very nice to get out there and to see them in Europe. And, I think it's going to be an interesting ride, because it's looking at the moment like it's going to be a Europa League spot as well, which is even tastier for them, because I think when they came into these playoffs, I think they would have taken anything, even Conference League football. But yeah, they've maintained their kind of competitiveness that we've seen through them throughout most of the season. And for me, that's been the most pleasing thing, because what I didn't want to see was them fall off a cliff, and they haven't done that. And again, that's testament to the good work that Wouter Rankin's done there as well. It's been good to see, and I think, but for some other results going against them, they maybe could finish second, but I don't think that they will.
Yeah, holding my hands up high. I quite literally did that, but of course the listeners cannot see that. But about Sissako specifically, for sure, I think I was probably the harshest on him. I think I even dubbed him like the relegation. Something with relegation anyway, because of our previous experiences. Well, it was harsher than relegation risk. It was very more like certainty. But I probably had a better name for it, but which I now forgot. But anyway, I apologize for that. He's doing really well indeed. And it's good that Ben brought it up. I had forgotten about it, but I wanted to bring it up as well in one of the upcoming weeks. He's really. I fully agree with what Ben said. He's been very impressive. For sure. If Goto will play in purple still, again, we never know, of course, because Anderlecht are the only side to play in purple. Beerschot and Patro are both still in promotion battle, for example. If it's in Belgium, okay, there are not that many sides in general, maybe, that in football, but also in world football, I'm sure there are a few more options thinking like that. Although I don't see, maybe he goes to Firenze. It's a nice city, I guess, as well. So possibly, but that's the one example I still have. And the others, I guess Real Madrid has a touch. When it's not a white, also has, but I do feel that might be a level too high. but nonetheless, That's the thing, of course. It was also his first goal in a long while since it. So I don't think anyone has an issue with how he celebrated his goal. He's allowed to celebrate a goal, even if it's against his parent club. But the things afterwards, I don't know if we need to make more of it than it was as well, to be honest. It's also because of the reaction of the other players to him, of course. They did let him provoke them. So it blew up a little bit more than maybe it should have been. Nonetheless, it was funny to see, I guess, for us as more neutral watchers. But in let's say it was probably not necessarily smart, because it's also still a side in purple that will have to accept offers for him over the summer as well. So they might not that they will be unhappy with letting him go, I guess, but. The last chances are indeed over now, I guess, regardless of if that actually was enough or not. To let that be the case, I think in the end, I think everyone thought this would happen. It might harm his market value though as well, because I guess some people inside the club that might want to buy him once, won't necessarily like that. Like, you can spin this a few ways, of course, still, but nonetheless. And where his future will lie, of course, that's another topic. It's different. We talked about this at length, I think, a few months ago already as well. But I do think we were actually listening back to that, and also what has happened over the course of those few months. I do think we were naming clubs that were probably a bit too high for him at the moment, at least at a higher level. But of course, that these were just the rumors at that time, I guess as well. Probably the rumors are more that it's like the Bundesliga some Bundesliga clubs following him, and I do feel like I also saw stats recently. There's too many stats around though, but about his work rate, I think it was so like that he might in his running levels, which in the Bundesliga actually might be a good step up then as well for him in that sense. But I guess the World Cup will bring might hold him some more secrets for us and him, and maybe even bigger clubs based on that alone. That also happens still, of course. But just in general, no, Sint Truiden definitely. I thought they might go off a cliff, but they didn't. Indeed, they recovered well. They I think I alluded to the last few weeks as well. Like they need to get those wins against those, or the points at least against those sides that are not Union Club, and especially since they hadn't taken them against them. And then after that initial drop of points against Gent, they recovered really well to win both games against Anderlecht and Mechelen now as well, quite convincingly, especially the game against Mechelen. They were really impressive at times, and like the third goal, I guess if you haven't watched that, that's one you should watch. You can find on social media for sure as well. But like a very nice combination. And maybe one player I also wanted to point out for the last few weeks that actually has been massively important for them is a even more unusual name, because he's actually not really featuring starting 11 much. But just want to give a shout out to Merlin as well, Ryan Merlin, who has had also in the stats had an important had an important impact in those games, and in them getting some goals and some points eventually out of that as well. So doing really well. And I mean, it's too early to say anything about next season, to be honest. I guess there could be worries, there could not be worries. Even if the squad stays together, if the manager then goes, what happens then? What if the squad stays together and the manager stays as well? Is there effects? Has it worn out? It's also still an option. Who knows? But I feel like the main thing is still the managerial question, and I do feel like he's probably going to go. So that's why I do feel it's really too early to say anything at the moment. But maybe getting into Europe, I mean, indeed, I agree. Third spot is most likely should be secured now, if they don't drop silly points in the next few games, I guess. And that Anderlecht get closer, but Anderlecht themselves are also not consistently they are quite consistent, but they're just not good enough. Let's put it that way, to make up a gap of 8 points? I guess it's now. That's just not going to happen. We do only 15 points to divide. That's very unlikely to happen. I still keep falling into the trap of saying things and predictions in the playoffs, even when I say that don't do that too early. But I do think there the gap is too big. But the thing is, of course, as well with indeed, I do feel like they're a bit in the third place void, because aiming higher. Well, they should still aim higher, but it's equally unlikely that they will get closer, except if one of the two sides fall down on the cliff, which is not looking like it's going to be the case this season. But who knows how fates turn. And really good work from Sint Truiden and Franke, and we'll see them most likely in Europe. And to come back to a small comment from Scott as well on Mechelen. Who knows? I mean, there's only 2 points behind Gent, and like, if the positions stay like this, like that position plays the playoffs at least for European football. And I mean, even Anderlecht is not too far away, so and you've shown in the league in the regular phase that you can beat them. So who knows? Don't throw in the towels too early. Although I feel like Miras has still been performing well, but the last 2 games have not done well on his confidence. But that's segueing into another topic. I like this maybe though.
Yeah, there's probably quite a lot we could say in Molineux at the moment. I mean, the whole question of, well, what exactly is happening there, because they've not responded. I mean, they played quite well against Ghent in the opening weekend and got a point, a deserved point, but winless so far. They've conceded 10 in their last 2, so the defence, at the very least, they've already gone on holiday. It's not been great. I think that's a squad that needs more depth to it. It's a young squad, as we know. But looking at it now, I kind of think, to compete at this level, you do need to have more depth than that. I did hold off from having a bit of a rant last week about the lack of physicality in the side, and I'm going to hold off for a bit longer because I'm really keen to see what Tom Callaway, Mechelen's sporting director, does with recruitment over the summer ahead of next season, particularly regards to the physicality of the side, because I think that's an element to playoff football that you have to be pretty competent in, and I think they've not really been up to the mark at this level to compete in that sense. So the consistency is one thing, but there's other things that I think I find a little bit more concerning. But yeah, I mean, they've got a chance to if not turn it around, at least win some games now, kind of before the end of the playoffs. But it feels very much like it's petering out, and I know that the fans kind of feel that way about it.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend, if they can beat Ghent, that could be the momentum building kind of result that they need. The problem is that they don't play Ghent again. They've then got Union Club and Sint Truiden still to play. Sint Truiden away from home as well, which is always a difficult place. Union away from home, incredibly difficult place. And then Club at home in what would be, the way the title race is going. That could be quite a tight one, or the title race could be over by then. We don't know. We could see how things turn out. But yeah, they just, if they can win this weekend, they still have that chance. But I think for me, and this is probably a wider conversation maybe to have at the end of the season once we know everything lands and stuff like that. But I'm looking at Mechelen, I'm looking at Ghent, I'm looking at Anderlecht, and I'm looking at the teams in playoff 2, and I'm just like, none of these teams could really do anything in Europe. Like, I think if any of them go into qualification, I wouldn't be surprised if they got knocked out and we ended up with none of them in Europe again. And I personally really miss the Conference League this year. I love watching the Conference League, and I watch more of it when there's a Belgian team in it, because it's just, there are so many games on a Thursday night. You're just like, where am I going to kind of land myself? And it's been like, right, I'm going to watch Genk because they're in the Europa League. That's where I'll kind of land myself. So it's just such a missed opportunity for teams getting into it. And yeah, I mean, Ghent have actually done quite well in it as well. But I just feel like the drop off in quality, and I've mentioned this, I think we've all mentioned this season, but like, in a way, it's been a really enjoyable league this season, but I do feel like the quality has dropped somewhat outside of Union and Club. And even within Club and Union, there's some kind of like, they haven't had to do as much to beat some teams as what you'd have expected them to do in the past, or it's like they haven't also then blown teams away, apart from obviously what Club did to Mechelen. It's like we haven't seen that often this season. So yeah, if a team from playoff 2 wins the European ticket, I just can't imagine, especially if it's, no offense, but if it's someone like Westerlo, I can imagine they're just so inconsistent. Like all those teams down there, Mechelen, Ghent, and Anderlecht are so inconsistent. Like, and I think for Mechelen as well, Scott, I think you're right. I just think this squad isn't ready yet. These players aren't ready yet for playoff 1 football. But I think this will hopefully have been a great learning experience for them and for Callaway as well, because he can have like, right, this is the level we want to be at. Where do we go from here? Like, what do we need to prioritize? And they're going to probably let some players, they've already announced a couple of players they're going to let walk. And Rabti, they might offer him a 1-year deal, they might not. He might want to go back to Sweden and get a longer term deal. I can imagine that's probably more likely for him. If he wants long-term stability, that's probably where he should go. And a couple of other players have been linked. So it's kind of like, I do think there's more movement that they can make this summer to return to the top 6, because I think it's weird, isn't it? Because for St Truiden, it feels like this is just not necessarily luck, but they've built towards this by putting a lot of these players in place over the last couple of years, and then this is kind of they just got the right coach at the right time to kind of bring it all together. Whereas for Mechelen, I feel like they're still a little bit further away from that, but they've got some young players in that you're like, these guys are good. If you can just put something around them that would work a little bit better, and like you said, maybe bring some more physicality into certain areas of the pitch. I think defensively, they definitely need a little bit more physicality in there. And then there's a couple of players that you just want to kind of develop, like Busma. He looks like he's probably could be quite good. Give him a little bit more time to kind of adapt, give him the summer. Van Brederode has had moments this season where he's looked really, really good as well. Like he looks like he's one for the long term. I'm still a Bill Antonio super fan. I just feel like there's a player there like that's really exciting, can do stuff. We just haven't seen it enough this season, unfortunately. And then Kudu, I think, has been pretty good. So there's players there that they can definitely do something with. But if they beat Ghent, that to me could be enough to really like send Ghent off the edge of the cliff that they seem to be balancing on. We spoke about the infamous picture of the guys in the boats. That has to come back out if that happens and they finish bottom of the playoffs, doesn't it? Like, it just feels like I don't know. Ghent are just a strange one to me this season. Anderlecht, I'm kind of like I'm expecting this inconsistency, like Joris said. I'm just expecting it when I watch them. Like, I'm looking at the players and I'm like, this just feels like a really weirdly put together team. That again, Svecovic like looks like a player. His finish was really, really good. I think he could be quite successful. But then there's some other like stuff there that needs to be sorted out. So yeah, 4, 5, and 6 is just a bit chaotic. The playoff 2, Joris doesn't even want to watch his team. He's just had enough of them this season. And that kind of worries me if they then got into Europe. And Westerlo worry if they get into Europe. Standardly, they'd scare the hell out of everyone if they got into Europe. Like, it's that sort of like...
Including themselves.
Exactly. What the hell do we do when we get it, if we did get into that? So, yeah, it's tough. I do think Mechelen can beat Ghent this weekend. I at home, this is their best shot. This is kind of their cup final, isn't it? If they lose that, that's it. They're not going to do anything, and it's just enjoy the rest of the season. Play spoiler, basically. But with the cup final, like, I think you've got to aim for 5th and just presume that the ticket is going down to 5 and crack on and aim for 5th, because it really could end up that way. It'd be interesting if Anderlecht won if they won the cup, what they would do. Would they just stop kind of playing in the league and just be like, whatever, we've got our ticket now? I don't know what kind of mentality or what mental state they're in for that to happen. But the way Union are, I don't think they're going to be taking their eye off the ball on the cup or the league either. So I don't think, Anderlecht are going to have to really improve over the next couple of weeks if they're going to have a chance.
That's going to be brutal for Anderlecht, I think, because obviously Union are going for a double, which is very, very achievable as of now. And you know what a motivation that is. But Anderlecht's, Anderlecht just can't touch Union. I mean, last 20 meetings, they've got a terrible record against them, as everyone knows. I think Anderlecht have won 3 times in the last 20 meetings, something like that. Union have won 14 of those. I mean, they just can't. When Union turn up, even this Union, which I think are not quite as good as some of the sides over the last couple of years, they're still better than Anderlecht in every department, I think, aren't they, guys? And I think that's probably Anderlecht's biggest worry. Their hope is that, the Cat can maybe get fit enough to be able to play sometime in that game, and that Hazard can have a particularly good game in the cup final, maybe something like that. That's kind of that they're really hanging their hat on, and Union having a bad day. The cup final is going to be really interesting, I think, this year, because obviously there's tremendous pressure on Anderlecht to actually do something. And Ben was mentioning, it'll be interesting to see what happens if they manage to win that. I don't think they're going to come back. It's going to be like a week-long party. They might just, forfeit the rest of the season because, they'll have won a trophy for the first time in almost 10 years. So, that's going to be a hell of a party if they do that. But, yeah, they're playing a side side who just have got the measure of them everywhere. And okay, it is worth reminding everyone, including myself, that, a cup final, it's a one-off game. Form and stats go out the window. It's very true. Union are a side who don't tend to have that many off days, even when they're not playing at their kind of peak or their potential. They still tend to kind of, they get enough out of the margins. So it's a really big ask for Anderlecht, this one, I think.
Well, they did beat them in the league this season, though, at home. And also yesterday, as of recording, we're recording on Monday. They actually were maybe not even worse than Union, except in some defensive areas until the red card. So another thing, which is another factor. I mean, they will be fired up by the decisions taken by the referee. Both against them and, not in favor of them, I guess, in the same phase as well, once again, to bring up the moment of the game there between, a whole sides thing, I guess, but mainly Sardella and Burgess as the main aggressors, let's put it that way, in a fight. And the one getting sent off and the other one getting away with literally nothing, even completely unscathed. In the game themselves, they couldn't do much about that, of course. But and the Union word, I mean, obviously Union did deserve the win, but I did find Anderlecht starting quite well yesterday. So I think they will be hoping for that. And I've seen pictures of the Cats already training as well, like from last week already, I believe, even. So, well, it's a picture, of course, so it could still be that he was just there and like he put on a jersey for a picture. That's still possible, but because it was like a team picture, team photo kind of thing. But it very much looked like he was already training again. So maybe they're keeping everyone a bit in the dark.
I was going to ask you about that, guys. Do you think there's a bit of psychology going on here? Because I know we're being told that he's ahead of schedule with his recovery, but with a big game like the cup final coming up and it meaning a massive amount to Anderlecht, while we're talking about them specifically, I did look at some of that and I thought that's interesting. I'm curious to see whether this is actually true or not.
A little bit too conspiracy, I believe. Still, maybe if he now starts to get better faster than they thought, maybe they will keep him out of the squad or anything, or like at least hide him a little more. But on the other hand, I also don't see the advantage necessarily because I guess he does need some playing time. Plus, I don't think they will unface Union whether he's there or not. Of course, he can be. He's a decisive player. He's the most important player for Anderlecht this season. You could arguably, but nonetheless, I don't think that Union's plan will change whether he's there or not. Let's put it that way. And of course, he will have an impact for the better or the worse on the pitch. But if he's there, but. Yeah, I just don't feel like Union is really going to be bothered by it.
Yeah, I was going to put it. I don't think Union give a shit if he plays or not. I really don't think they care. I mean, I'm a big fan of De Cat. I think he's great, and I think he's going to be an incredible player. But yeah, I agree. I think for Union, I'll be like, okay, he's playing.
And admittedly, and in that win, he was quite important for Anderlecht as well against Union. Okay, so we have to give them that. So. But I still don't think Union is a side that will be changing anything because of it. It's the presence of anyone. It's not about the Cat himself necessarily, but just anyone.
No, I think Union will just try and be physical with him, won't they, throughout the game? If that's his first game back, I think. I mean, I feel like Camille van der Peer, I don't know if you guys have watched the last couple of games, I feel like he's just always involved in something. Like, he's always getting like absolutely smashed in a tackle. It feels like there's a league thing up against him. So yeah, keep an eye on that if you haven't watched that, because I just feel like every time I watch him, he's just getting battered and doing some battering as well, to be fair to him. What was I going to say? You guys raised a point and I was going to say it. Was it just that he didn't give a shit? I can't remember. Yeah, let's quickly move to the second playoff thing, because I hadn't noticed something, and I've just noticed it, and you guys have probably noticed it, but it just kind of caught me by surprise. Do we think Antwerp might win it? Because they've won 3 in a row now.
Well, yep. I'm just, when I was compiling my show notes a little bit earlier on, I'd actually written down Antwerp won last three with an exclamation mark, because nobody's really talking about them, and obviously they dropped off our radar a bit as well because they'd gone off a cliff of their own. But I mean, you've got there's only 3 points separating the top four sides now, and we were saying for ages this playoff's probably going to be the more interesting of the two. It is actually genuinely getting more interesting week by week. And Antwerp have definitely got themselves back into the conversation, I think. And they'll be very pleased to hear us say that, I'm sure.
It should not be playable anymore for any side anymore, but I know one side that doesn't like to win games and does like to hit the woodwork and give away goals at the end of games as well, if they finally manage to break a deadlock. But I agree. I had the same feeling. On the other hand, still, on the whole of the playoffs, all three of Genk, Westerlo, and Antwerp all gotten 9 points. So, I mean, in that sense, it's a status quo between those sides, and they still need to overtake them, of course. But yeah, the abundance of draws, not only of Genk, but in general, is really indeed bringing some teams back to life, including Antwerp. Well, mainly Antwerp, actually, for sure. Also noteworthy, of course, they need 1 point extra, so they need need to gain 4 points at least to get over Genk at the moment. But nonetheless, it's no secret that I've tuned out for the season a little bit, even though I was very frustrated still on Saturday. That was also clear in our chat. I think I did fall. I try not to be too involved, but it's just, okay. I'm a football fan, but
I'd love to have been measuring your blood pressure this season, Joris. If you had a blood pressure monitor on you, it must have been, way off the charts.
The frustration levels have been among the highest I've ever been, I think, across the whole season. I guess there's moments in seasons or in last games and so on that I also don't want to talk about, but that also were not good for that. But that's just one night or a bit longer. But
your beloved club's pushing you into some dark places this year.
This season is so topsy-turvy and so consistently inconsistent, and like then one thing seems to be solved and they bring on some other issue that brings everything down again. But so like it's no secret I don't see them winning it eventually, even though surprisingly they're actually halfway there, still on top, and haven't lost a game. Which might prove crucial if they can keep that up, of course, as well. But they also haven't won any game at home still, which is I think in comparison to the season ticket holders, that went every game. I do think I'm still in a privileged position because they haven't seen a lot of nice days in the home stadium, unlike last season, a complete turnaround there. Of course, there were a few good wins as well, but no wins that were like. I think there was only one time they won like with 3 goals difference and so on. So like with a bigger margin, and that's just not the way you want to spend your season, I guess, in the stadium as well. And the results have just been poor. But I don't want to dwell too much on Genk. But yes, I did not give Antwerp any chance before this weekend. Then all of a sudden I was kind of supporting them to win a game against Westerlo because they were the more direct danger. But now indeed Antwerp are in it as well. Westerlo also might need to note that as well. Westerlo were furious in that game that Bayram got sent off after inside first 10 minutes. Arguably harsh. Arguably, I'm not sure. I do think it's warranted, but there were a lot of discussions, and even the reason why I'm still mentioning it is more like they actually went into the dressing room for the referees and so on at halftime. And the halftime actually took like 23 minutes or so because of like everything, the whole discussions. And I'm assuming it was only discussions. There's no more information on that, I guess. But harsh words have been said, curse words, I'm sure as well. But that there were they were very, very much not happy there, which is something that doesn't happen too often at Westerlo, which is more usually like quite a calm club. But since they're now unexpectedly are actually fighting for something, maybe it seems like things might get heated there as well. And that's
it's incredible to think, isn't it, that a kick-off could get delayed by an argument over stuff like that. It's not uncommon, obviously, for referees to maybe be visited by managers after a game on relation to a decision, but for an argument to be ongoing effectively during half-time, which delays the kick-off again, is really kind of quite something. And I do wonder whether Ismail Shirai might find himself hauled up by the FA after that. I'd be very surprised if he wasn't, because that's,
I'm not sure how much he was involved, although he did indeed say like there were harsh words and curse words. I'm sure he was relatively present, but
certainly his
over the board, yes, the board and the staff, I guess, So
his staff were certainly very active, weren't they? Yeah, he was quite forthright with the media as well, I think, which was interesting. Frustrating as a coach when you lose a player under circumstances like that, because it does invariably completely change the course of games, as we know.
Yeah, but also like nothing's going to happen at half time. They're not going to be like, you can come back on and play. Like, this isn't kids' football. Like,
it's a distraction, isn't it? Yeah, it's a distraction not only to the coach, to other players. Just focus on what you can influence. You're right. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, like if he can hear it going on and stuff, it's us. He shouldn't be involved at all. He should be focusing on how is he going to get 10 men back into the game. You also mentioned Genk haven't won at home in these playoffs, and I was going to give them some good news. You've only got 2 more home games left. The bad news is it's against Westerlo and Antwerp. So if you lose those 2 games, and Antwerp's running, like if they Standard Liège is probably the biggest one for them this week, and they beat Leuven, they beat Standard Liège away from home. They beat them at home as well. That should be standard done in terms of their run for the playoffs. I think Antwerp as well. I don't know if they thought this or not, but I feel like they probably thought they were out of it, and they've kind of just relaxed and they're actually enjoying their football and stuff. And now it's like all of a sudden we're in it. Then they've got Charleroi and Leuven back to back. Like that, if they can win, they could easily pick up 9 points, and suddenly they're in the driving seat with Genk and Westerlo to come. So it's like suddenly you're in control of this.
I'm going to say what I always say, like it's too early still to make any kind of this kind of predictions. But I mean, obviously everyone has to play each other. Like, we're halfway, so like everyone has to play each other, and differences are not decisively made yet. So it's still exciting. That's one thing I will conclude still, at least. But and indeed, the fixture list I haven't actually looked at it myself, but if you mention it like that, And then we have to see how they would be acting in the driver's seat, because they haven't really done so well this season when the pressure was high. So
exactly, it's that sort of psychological swings and stuff that are going to happen, which is what we wanted from this playoff too, because it was so close. We wanted it to kind of be jumping up and down. I know, Joris, you probably didn't want it to be jumping up and down. You'd like it to be over, but Scott and I are very happy that it's jumping around.
I'm already surprised Genk is still first, to be honest. So they're already exceeding my expectations, but that might say more about my expectations and how they brought they don't need to care about my expectations, but how the expectations are lying with me, at least, or how they brought them down.
No, exactly. And I think it's what's also interesting with, obviously, for Oosting, it was like there was question marks coming into this with the run of form that they had. It's like, is he going to be the right man for next season? But if they can get close, they don't have to do it, but they can get close and like finish this season strong, I think it's good for him. And maybe then if they do make European football, they can probably convince Janssen to sign for another year at lower wages, because he said he's kind of willing to do that depending on kind of the vision, the approach. I think Scott's probably going to leave, which is hilarious because that man was just non-existent for so long. And isn't it? It's like the NBA, man. When people are in like a contract year, they just suddenly start to play, and they suddenly start to look really good. And it's kind of like, for me, it's on the player, but it's also on the coaches. It's like, why have you not been able to get this guy up to this level yet? Like he's been there for so long. He shouldn't have done. He's just been performing now. Before we go, I think we've kind of it's difficult to talk about the relegation playoffs, but it looks like Lommel will definitely be in the playoff final within the kind of CPL. They've then got to play one of Pacho or Beerschot. So this is all happening in that game. Beerschot got a penalty straight away in that game. Now Pacho are winning 3-2 on aggregate. Like that's just going to be like, I think for Scott, that's probably like the game that he just wants both sides to lose. From what he said before. But just to kind of, you always said let's not make early predictions, but I'm just going to make you both make some sort of early prediction. Just looking at the sides, looking at the paper, do you think Lommel can beat Dender over 2 games? Do you think they have enough within that squad to beat Dender, or do you think there's no chance, or not even there's no chance, but you think it's unlikely, and you think we're going to see the Pro League team win, because that's been kind of the norm, be that the Pro League team would win that game, just because it's just how it goes. They've usually got more quality, but do you think Lommel can do it given how they've completely kind of changed what they've done? And I was saying to you guys, like, you look through that team now compared to how you used to look at it a couple of last seasons, and it looks like a normal CPL team rather than like an academy team made up of, like, it looked more like the under 23 squads of lots of teams with like a Vettekele kind of chucked in and a Scoos, but now it's got like, some experience in there. Do you think they've got enough? Do you think they have enough to beat a Dender if they get past Patra or Beerscott, which is not a given either?
In a word, yes, I think they could, on the basis that they've certainly been scoring plenty of goals. So they would come into that game, if it is to be them, in kind of quite good confidence. So I don't see why not. I suspect, knowing these playoffs the way we do any other playoffs, there's probably quite a long way to go in the Patro Beerschot game. I mean, got another 20 odd minutes left as of now, but I can see that one going beyond the 90 minutes quite easily with the way these games tend to pan out. But yeah, I think Lommel could cause Dender problems, and Dender, to be honest, from my perspective, I think you should be reasonably worried no matter who they're going to face. To be honest, because even when things weren't going their way through a lot of this season, they were playing some pretty decent football. I mean, we know things didn't work out for Hayek Milcon, but actually they did start to play better under him. Unfortunately for him, obviously that didn't convert into points, which is why he ultimately lost his job. But I mean, there's some sides that Dender could face who certainly have been more free scoring in comparison to them. So yeah, Dender are going to have to be really at it if they're going to take down any of the sides that they're going to face, I think.
I agree with the statement that then they will have to worry for anyone against anyone, but just because the lack of competitive football. If they would have been a bit more in it, a bit longer in these playoffs, I feel like that might harm them. Of course, it could also be that they will be relatively well rested, or like really specifically preparing for these games a bit more, but nonetheless they will only know that their opponents like not that long before the fixtures will take place, of course. So but yeah, I'm assuming they will have some extra eye on Lommel now as well, given the results the results that are going on. But we'll have to see how that goes. But just I give any side. I didn't think I was going to say this. I always felt like, well, they are actually indeed not playing so bad, and they are still favorites. I would even start saying it's really 50-50 since they don't really have the edge anymore of playing at a higher level, because the level has gone away now. That way has been there's no competition really going on, of course. So I'm just wondering how the impact could be. I still could be wrong. It could be the opposite. Like I said, maybe they will eventually start resting some more players, starting soon, I guess. Or the opposite. Maybe they feel like it's more valuable that they get some rhythm over the line and maybe try to get some results in the next few fixtures. But I worry a bit for them as well, regardless of who their opponent eventually will be.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with both you guys. I think I always presumed that Dender would have enough, but I'm just not sure. I'm not sure if it's good for them to stay up or not. But yeah, I mean, Scott, you're right that there's a long way to go in Beerscott Patro, because I just turned it on just to quickly have a look and there's no one on the pitch. So something's going on. And Mr. Nijngelen scored. I mean, that'd be a turn.
I say.
That went down well.
Locals.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we'll talk more about that playoff final next episode when we know who the two sides are. And I presume we'll have had the first leg by then. I can't quite remember the schedule. I don't know if either of you guys know it off by heart, but I presume they'll just have a quick turnaround and be playing it this weekend. So we might have had the first leg already done. If this Beerschot Patro game ever finishes, it might just go on and on and on. We might still be talking about it in a couple of days' time. Who knows? We're trying to find out what happened, but this is completely irrelevant to this podcast because by then the game will be over. I think that probably just about does it for this week. I mean, there's obviously plenty going on, plenty to kind of get ourselves into. Lots could change. Like we said, Mechelen could be right back in the European ticket race next week. Everything could have changed in playoff 2 as well. It could be even tighter than it is right now. Before we go, guys, is there anything else you wanted to mention? Anything you wanted to plug?
Well, you joined us after returning for a while this week and you said, I wonder if I remember how to do this. This episode has been so thorough, I'm not sure there's anything that we haven't covered. Yeah, he's still got it, folks. He's still got it.
He certainly does. He certainly does. And he doesn't only run marathons, he also still can host.
I was thinking if I'd done it after the marathon, I think it'd have been an absolute car crash. Absolute killer, that. And I said I'd never do one again, and I just tried to enter the London Marathon. So, yeah, never believe a word I say, because I'm clearly a monumental liar. It's been great to be back. Great to finally have some Belgian football chatter going on. If you liked what we've done, please do leave us a review on your podcast app of choice. You can buy us a coffee as well at Buy Me a Coffee. I'll stick that link in the show notes when we upload this one. If you've got any money lying around that you just want to chuck away, it's more than well received. And yeah, I think that just about does it for this week. And we will probably do another round of questions as well next week. It was quite nice to have that done last week, and we got some good ones, and hopefully we can get a couple more. So if you do have a question, just get in touch and we will answer it at the back end of the episode, or even midway through the episode, because sometimes you guys ask questions that are just, they're so good that we just need to kind of add them in as a segment in their own kind of right anyway. So yeah, thanks as always for listening, and we'll speak to you again very soon on another episode of the Belgian Football Podcast.